Okay, welcome to the first of many raw, genuine philosophy talks. Now, today we're going to talk about the four pillars of consciousness. But before we get into that, I want to explain, which I probably explained many times in different places, but I'll just do it all. Genuine philosophy is a philosophical framework that I am building in order to really showcase clarity over truth. One of the main things that I like to do is seek clarity, meaning I like to really understand why I believe certain things about life, anything about happiness, and we'll definitely go into a lot of that about that today. But I use it to basically map out my subjectively objective reality, which is part of my concept of the three realities. So, and I'm trying to be more professional here. I think that's going to wear off. I hope so, because I don't think I can keep that up. But so three realities is basically subjective reality, subjectively objective reality, and objective reality. So from a genuine philosophy standpoint, objective reality is unattainable, since my belief is that you must be an omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient being in order to observe, not really observe, but more interpret objective reality, because I can interpret it, but I'm not an all-knowing being, so I can't see everything all at once. So therefore, I was able to create the concept of subjectively objective reality, which was probably thought of many times before, but that's just basically what I'm calling it, SOR for short. And SR, subjective reality, is what I use to describe basically what I'm feeling in the moment, or what anybody's feeling in the moment. So the whole idea of genuine philosophy is basically to really map out your SOR. So, and then you can really have an idea of when you're walking around your subjective reality and living life on a day-to-day basis, you can have it fully thought out of how you want to navigate the world. Do you know what I mean? It's like anybody can be happy on a happy day. But how are you going to deal with sadness, or happiness for that matter, when it's raining outside and you don't want it to be raining? You know? So, like, let's say you really want to go for a walk, or you have a plan, you planned for a walk with one of your friends you haven't seen in a while, and it starts to rain. Some people might be like, well, I'm still going. Well, we'll just bring an umbrella. Other people will be like, I don't really want to go at all now. Can we just have a phone call, or maybe you can just come over and blah, you know what I mean? Anyway, with SOR, it's the idea of mapping out your specific areas of happiness, sadness, fear, contentness, even pain, love, relationships, family, success, careers, a whole bunch of different things. Now, this series is definitely going to go, the goal, I'll just tell you this, the goal is to every week go over a new area of life. Now, it's definitely going to be very, still surface level from my standpoint. We're going to talk about the four pillars of consciousness. I'll say it to you like this. Four pillars of consciousness is belief, value, influence, and action. And that's what I'm going to use to really start mapping out SOR. Now, I really genuinely believe it's going to go a lot further than that and a lot deeper. But at least just in the beginning, that's what I really want to start doing. And what I mean by that is this week is going to be Happiness Week. And this is going to be the first, like I said, first raw philosophy talk, which might just end up being a regular video too. But it's going to focus on all the behind-the-scenes thought processes of really developing this philosophy. I'm not some guru. I'm not some academic philosopher. I don't think I've even read a philosophy book. So I'm basically just a person who likes to think. And I really want to I really want to like get feedback on some of these ideas, because you could be somebody who has a lot of good ideas in a room of people who don't think in those terms. You know what I mean? It's like if you are a theoretical physicist and you walk into a room of people who work at the zoo, they might think of you as a brainiac. You know what I mean? Not saying that people who work at zoos, because I used to work at a zoo, or safari rather, but they might think of you as somebody who's different in a specific way, for thinking about different things. And the same thing for them. The theoretical physicist can be like, oh, what do you think about these animals? Or can you tell me more about... And then the zookeeper or people who work there can tell you a whole plethora of things, which are amazing. And it goes the same thing. It's like a zookeeper talking about the animals in the zoo versus a theoretical physicist talking about the realities of life in terms of physics. They're having two completely different conversations, and they both can be well respected for the other person, but it's different if the zookeeper are talking amongst zookeepers about zookeeper things. Same thing with theoretical physicists talking with theoretical physicists about theoretical physicist things, which would be theoretical physics. Now, so the whole reason I said all that jumbling stuff is that I want to know, and even for people who, like regular people who don't think about these kinds of things, they're everyday kind of person just walking down the street. For me, I walk down the street and I think about life in and of itself, existence and sadness, and how they all correlate, and why I feel like running one day or walking the next. Why do I have so much motivation one day after watching a movie, but then an hour after that, I don't have any at all? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it could be very simple thought processes behind those things, but I want to really come up with a system. And it might just be my ADHD brain that wants to do it. And it's just a cycle of, yeah, this is an idea. This is an idea. Yeah, it'll work. And it just never does. So help me. Or do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's probably already, maybe I should switch this up to rambling talks. But I promise you, I mean, I can't really promise, but there's going to be some ideas along the way as we go through this process. Again, this is the first video, and I made a whole bunch of other videos, but I'm really still just trying to find my way. I mean, even this right here is just my room. And these are my books that I don't think are the best, but hey, they're mine, so... They're the same book, by the way. Just 2 copies that have never been read by me. I mean, maybe I'll do it this... I actually should open that book and just start doing it. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do it sometime today. But this process is writing for the next book. This was basically the spark of genuine philosophy. This is what is your philosophy, which is the very first steps of the beginning of genuine philosophy, which is what I'm calling my philosophy that I'm creating, or building rather. These are the first steps, which are beautiful steps. Now, let's get to the topic of hand. Happiness. I have some questions, and it'll help me go through by just answering them. Now, the way I'm going to do this is, like I said, is through the 4 pillars of consciousness, which is another concept that I'm workshopping. I do really like it, though. It's, like I said, belief, value, influence, and action. Basically, the 4 pillars of consciousness are a way to become more aware of a certain topic. Do you know, what do you believe, specifically for happiness in this case? What do you believe about happiness? What do you value in happiness? What influences you, or what has influenced you in that regard? And to come up with all those things about happiness. And what do you actually do? What's the actionable steps that you partake in anything, which in this case would be happiness? So let's start with the first one. It would be belief. What do I believe about happiness? I have specific questions that I want to say. Yeah, what do I actually believe happiness is? Is it a fleeting feeling or something deeper that can be measured and returned to? I definitely think it can be measured. I have an entire concept for that too, called the happiness scale, which I've expanded to just be the what if scale, because it's not specifically just the happiness scale. although it has a nice ring to it. The what is / what if scale can be used for many different things. Um, but again, I have to start thinking about these more. So, regardless, what do I believe happiness is? Um, it's funny because when you think about it in these specific terms, it's how deep philosophically do you want to go? Do you want to think outside of a human perspective? But I mean, how could I really do that? Because then again, I'm trying to get into objective reality and I can't really do that. I mean, I can do it ironically, but there's no way because of the existence of SOR from my perspective, even though I could be wrong. But who knows? Now, with my belief of happiness, I'll just say it to you like this. I believe happiness and sadness are directly correlated. You can say they're opposite, but I haven't done enough thinking about it to confirm that. So I would not say that as a confirming statement from myself or something that I believe objectively would be true. I see I have to come up with new terms. Or SOR truth from my perspective. So what I believe about happiness is that happiness is, in and of itself, is a specific feeling that comes from within, that when we acknowledge it, we will label and give it value. So there's a concept that I call the genuine emotion or the genuine moment. Could be two different things. I'll say the genuine moment is a moment that exists without time. Now, it is a specific moment. One way that can really easily describe this is when you're watching a movie. Now, there's parts in that movie that you're just living there. You're just sitting there and you're absorbing information. It could be almost exactly as if you were sleeping. Almost exactly like sleeping. But it's basically you're sitting or doing whatever, but you're not acknowledging the past or the future. And really the present either, because I'll just say it like this. You can't really experience the present moment while it's happening. Because as soon as you do reflect upon it or become aware of it, you're thinking about it in the past. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you jumped into a pool, you think of the fact that you jumped into that pool. Do you know what I mean? Not like, oh, I'm jumping into the pool right in this moment as the water touches my feet and the water's going up my leg and now I'm engulfed. Do you know what I mean? It's like it happens so quick that it's impossible. Because the moment from when you're jumping into the pool to actually in the pool is less than we can even comprehend. And even if we were to comprehend it in that slow motion, we would already be thinking about it as if it already happened. I hope that explained that. Because I'll say it to you like this. The genuine moment exists within that moment itself, where time does not exist. Because as soon as you think about the past, it already happened. Or you anticipate the future, then you're not thinking about what's happening, you're thinking about what will happen. Another way that I explained it is if you're walking to the beach or to the ocean and you're on the beach. Now, as you're walking, you could be thinking about, or not thinking about it at all, and you're just walking. Or you're looking at the ocean and you're thinking, I'm getting closer and closer and closer. You're thinking about the future, about you being in that water versus just experiencing the moment. One thought I had recently about the genuine moment is if you're sitting on a bench and a bird flies by and you're just experiencing that moment as a bird flies by. You're not trying to rationalize anything. You're not thinking about anything. You're just existing in the moment. Another example could be a sunset or a sunrise. You're just sitting there looking. As soon as you think, oh my goodness, life is beautiful. Now you're not really experiencing the moment. I mean, theoretically, you can argue that you are. But it's about the moment of just being there and not being in your head, not thinking, not doing anything, just existing. Now, with that specific moment, the genuine moment, I extend it into emotions where a genuine emotion could exist within you. You could feel happiness. You could feel, I'll just say it to you like this. It's a feeling, but it isn't happiness, sadness, fear, or anything until you label it. It could be deemed as that, but who's labeling it then? If you are, then it would be you. So it could be like, do you believe that happiness exists without an individual attributing happiness to that specific feeling or emotion? I mean, I think that's an amazing question. And I think that's one from an objective reality that I can't really put my finger on because I'm not all knowing, so I can't really say that. But if you were to be like, well, just make a decision from your SOR and be like, okay, um, I don't think so. I think feelings arise from within and that you have to label them in order to understand them. You don't have to label them, but they could be labeled. There's a lot of times with happiness, sadness, people don't know what they're feeling. In certain emotional moments, they don't know. You could start crying, you could be happy. I mean, some people cry when they're happy. It's like, I don't know what these emotions are. You know, it's so hard at times to be able to label those specific emotions. So that's why I do genuinely believe emotions and feelings come from within, and then we label them as we are outside. Some people completely are controlled by their own emotions. Some people try to understand them more than others. Some people are be like, I'm an emotional person, which I genuinely believe, from my own perspective, that whatever you believe is true for you, bar none, from your perspective. Because one way that I explain that is just imagine a staircase, and at the top of the staircase is pure happiness. The only thing you need to do to get to the top is climb every stair. Now, if you believe that you can't climb the first step, how can you get to the top? Do you know what I mean? It's like if you want to get to the top of the staircase, you have to step on every step. But if you believe you can't take the first step, how can you get to the top? No jumping, you have to step on every one. So that's one way that I usually explain, from my perspective, is that whatever you specifically believe about your life and your SOR is true for you. Doesn't need to be true for me. My beliefs don't need to be true for you or anybody else, for that matter. Now, with happiness specifically, one thing that I believe, in more simpler terms, happiness is basically doing what you want. So if you want this or you want that, and you do that, it could lean towards more happy moments for you, depending on what those things are. Because at the very end of the day, I would link happiness with desire or want as like a specific outcome. I have some doubts to that. I have to think more about that. It's the first time I ever thought about that and said it out loud. So, you're getting the behind the scenes of actual thought. But I can think more about that at a different time, because that is interesting. Desire being linked to happiness as a specific outcome. And if you don't get what you want, then you could theoretically be sad. It's kind of funny too, because I'm thinking about it in the moment from this standpoint, and you could be looking at it and being like, yeah, that's obvious. You're just finding that out. Maybe I am, who knows? But, simpleton, right? But this is the first question too. So with happiness and belief, what I believe about happiness from a very simple terms is that I believe that happiness is doing what you want. And then it would lead to the next question about, well, what do you want? That's where you would give it value. But I have a couple more questions about belief. I think I might have answered this question. Do I believe happiness is available to me in the present moment? Or is it something I've been trained to think only lives in the future? That's a very interesting question. Do I believe happiness exists in the moment? Now, if you're talking about the genuine moment, I think I thought about this before. The genuine moment, nothing can exist within the genuine moment, because there's no reference. But that's a topic of debate right there. Because that would mean that if I'm living in a moment of pure ecstasy or pure bliss or pure joy, that I don't experience that. Okay, I think I know how to answer that question, because I'll say it like this. For the genuine moment, and again, I could be wrong about this, but For the genuine moment, and with that question, can I feel happiness within the genuine moment? I would still say no from my SOR, not from objective reality. Is that because within the moment there's no references. Now, when you're in the genuine moment, there's nothing to compare to. You are just existing solely in that moment. Like I said, time does not exist, so there's nothing outside of that specific moment. So you can't feel any specific emotion. All that is, and all that ever was, is within that specific moment. As soon as you reflect on the past or anticipate the future, then you leave that present moment. And then everything else floods in. Do you know what I mean by that? It's like you could be experiencing pure joy within the moment, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you have. But as soon as you get out of that and come back to reality and get thoughts of sadness or comparable moments of happiness, then your enjoyment or joy in that moment goes up or down. Does that make sense? So I believe within the moment, you cannot experience happiness or really any emotion because there's nothing to compare it to within the genuine moment. Now, subjective reality, you can experience a whole bunch of different things. Now, the difference between the genuine moment and subjective reality would be it could be anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 seconds or even more. What I mean by that is it could be 2 seconds before the genuine moment has occurred and 2 seconds after the genuine moment has occurred. And you can put 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20, 30, could be minutes too. That you would have a whole bunch of references to specific happiness or moments of sadness. I hope I explained that right. This is just the second question. And there's so many things. We've already got 20 minutes. How have my past beliefs about happiness shaped the way I've chased or avoided it? That's a great question as well, because in the past, really, which is crazy for me to think of, is that it's one of the hallmark moments of my life that I believed when I was saying to my best friend that I believed about happiness that I didn't deserve happiness. That was one of my beliefs when I was younger. I think it was 6 years ago, so it wasn't even that long ago, but a lot can happen in 6 years. Now, 6 years, really? There's no way. I think, 6 years. That's crazy. But it shaped my entire existence. That was who I was. And the thing that's crazy and so dangerous about beliefs is that if you have a negative belief about certain aspects of your life, that's why I think it's so important, is that it could shape your entire subjective reality. That's why if you walk around life without knowing your SOR or trying to really discover your SOR, then it could be so detrimental. Because like for me, I had a belief that happiness, I didn't deserve it. So wherever I would go, it wouldn't matter if people were happy with me or showing me bits of happiness. It was that I really looked at specific moments that would really show evidence and proof to my belief. So what I would mean by that, if someone was nice to me or have had moments of sad or happiness, I'd be like, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool, but I don't deserve this. This is just a moment, and eventually it'll end. Which, from a specific standpoint, I can be 100% right in that. And again, from one of my beliefs is whatever you believe in is true for you. For me, it was true. And why, like I said, why it's so dangerous is because I was looking for evidence to support my belief. So that's why I genuinely believe that beliefs are so important for you to be able to understand your core philosophy. That's why I believe that mapping out your SOR is so important, because now I believe happiness is doing what you want, which definitely changed my entire aspect of life. Really crazy to think about. But I think we can move on to value. Now, specifically, I'll just give you the rundown on my value of, at the 25-minute mark, value of happiness. It could be going on hikes, talking with friends, thinking about philosophy, sharing, doing videos and things like that. Even editing videos brings me happiness. And interacting with people about philosophy and things like that. And hearing people's, like, a lot of things bring me happiness. Writing, running at times brings me happiness. Museums, like, there's a whole bunch of things. It's value. It's what I put value into happiness. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things. Playing guitar, singing, so much are things that I value in happiness, or that bring me value in happiness. Does that make sense? Well, if it doesn't, we have some more questions. What do I value most when it comes to happiness? Is it connection, freedom, comfort, growth, or something else? That's a really good question. A lot of these are good questions, which you can ask yourself too. So, what do I value most when it comes to happiness? That's crazy to think of. But as I'm over here telling people to measure your own happiness, I can't measure value. I've never thought about this. That's crazy. The thing that I value most about happiness. See, it's kind of weird because I don't really chase happiness. I really, truly, genuinely kind of want to stumble upon it. This isn't a cop-out answer, but what do I value most about happiness? I think the simplicity of it, I would say, in and of itself, the simplicity of happiness is that once you're able to see through a specific perspective, that you can really map out your own happiness and value your own happiness. That's what understanding, I would probably say. No, I don't think that's not a good answer. Maybe even flexibility I would value most in happiness. Is that, for me, I'll say it to you like this. I don't know if this is a good answer, but flexibility within happiness for me is probably what I value most in happiness, which I guess would be freedom, because the freedom to be able to do so many different things. Like I said, what do I want in a specific moment? That would be probably the flexibility of it, is that I can go on a hike and find happiness. I could sit down in my room and find happiness. I could sit and watch a movie and find happiness. I think the flexibility that I have opened so many specific doors to the idea of what happiness or what value I can gain from happiness is what I value the most about happiness. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Do my values around happiness align with the memories on my what is scale? In other words, are the things I say I value the same as the things that actually made me happy? That's crazy. The thing is, I haven't mapped out my what is scale yet. That's really, I have to do that this week too. I'm not going to do it right now because it could be another video, but it's too personal. No, I'm kidding. But I will say this. The what is scale is for you, really. It's not for you. Because I'll say it to you like this. If I said it here, then I even might like nudge myself in a bit to be like, isn't this happy? Like, it should be personal. This is not a cop-out. It's not a cop-out. But like I said, there's things in here, you don't need to tell me or tell anybody. A lot of things in life about your own life, your own SOR, should be individual. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you talk to yourself or if you do these beliefs and you run off to go and show your best friend or show your mom, I'm not saying you can't, but if you go and do that, then are those answers really for you, or are they for other people to be like, look how cool I am, or look what's going on? Do you know what I mean? But I would say probably now, yes. Because I will say this. My what is scale, I know some things on my what is scale is definitely... Wait, do you guys know what the what is scale is? I don't know if you do. So the what... I'll explain to you. The what is scale, it's the happiness scale. Or like I said before, the what is scale versus the what if scale. Now it is Um, the what is scale, and usually what I tell people is you mark 10 memories of your life and you rank them from 1 to 10 in terms of the happiest in your life. Now, what you have to worry about is, I'm sorry, I'm getting spaced out because my battery's at like 30%, maybe less, and I'm worried it's going to die. But so with the happiness scale, or the what is scale, is you take 10 memories of your life that you deem as the happiest of your life. You rate them 1 to 10, and then you look at what were you doing, where were you, and who were you with. Did I already explain this? I don't remember. And the what if scale is the scale that is an imaginary land, fantasy land. I'll say to you like this: one of the happiest moments of my life is road tripping across the United States. Now, if I looked at that and put, well, if I road tripped across Europe, I would be even more happy. Cool, that could be true, but you're not doing it and you didn't do it. So what's the point of adding that into your concept of happiness? There's no reference points. There's just an imagination of what if. Usually what I say is you want to really live in the what is happiness scale, what has happened in your life, versus what if this happens or if that happens. For example, if you go, well, if I get a promotion at work, I'll be a lot happier. If I get a nice house, I'll be a lot happier. It could even be if I pay the rent, I'd be a lot happier, which could be completely true. But you can look at, well, what are you doing today? What are you doing now that can make you happy? Because you could look at, well, if I had a lot of money, I'd be a lot happier. Yeah, but you don't. And you're not. So what can you do today, or what can you look at today and be happy for today? What has actually happened? Now, I'm not yelling or not saying anything like that, but it's just the what is scale or the what if scale. It doesn't need to be about your entire life. It could be throughout a day. It could be a week, a couple of days, 10 years. It could be 1 year. It could be an hour. Do you know what I mean? It could be like pick 3 moments within the past 10 minutes that made you happy. But the thing is, you could do the same with the sadness scale, or the what if in terms of sadness. Same kind of thing, but the what if scale is powerful. Where do I place happiness in the hierarchy of my overall values? Is it the end goal, or is it a byproduct of living aligned with deeper values? I'd probably say the last thing. It is a byproduct of living aligned with deeper values. I do not place happiness super high on my hierarchy of values, because I believe my mission in life, which is to help, my mission is to help individuals achieve their true potential through genuine understanding. And that, I think, should take precedent over my own happiness. Now, it might sound a little weird or sad or anything like that, but I'm not saying that it won't bring me happiness, because I wish to live in a world that if I walk down the street, I don't see so many people. Like, I want to walk down the street and think people, and hear people talking about their philosophy, thinking about different ways or different ideas, different ways to look at life or to think about certain aspects of life. That's my dream. It might stay a dream, but who knows? There might be a certain part of time where it changes. I can walk through a building, and people are talking about that. I might be able to walk through a college campus and people are thinking about these certain things. But I will say that my term, in terms of happiness, that's not my priority. Because I want to get my philosophy out there, and in order to do that, I have to do some things that don't specifically require me to be happy at times. I'm not saying that I'm sad. It's just not specifically happy. Because it's like, I don't really want to say this, but there could be certain aspects of life that could fundamentally, I'll say it to you like this, scientifically create happiness or create dopamine in your brain. I think what we're talking about in terms of values with happiness is conscious happiness. Would be different than scientific happiness, like dopamine and things that you want to do, or making love with random people or a significant other, those kinds of things. I don't chase specific versions of happiness like that. I really chase and seek clarity and understanding and ways to communicate that. Does that make sense? I think we're done with value. Oh my goodness. Now we're going to influence. We're at 35 minutes. Nice. So, influence. Who or what has influenced my definition of happiness? Family, culture, media, friends. Where did my picture of happiness come from? So, I hate to say that it came from myself. I think, I'll just say this is a collection of everything. That's probably a cop-out too. I thought about a concept. I was actually in Malibu in California, and some people might have been there. It's like an artist's house. Not me. I didn't I wasn't personally invited. I paid to go there. It was like this Roman garden. It was this guy who was obsessed with Roman architecture, and they built a whole bunch of Roman stuff, and I was sitting in the garden with a friend, and I explained to them my version of anything, really. And I'll say it to you like this, that just meant nothing, but I said, how can originality come from within when everything we've ever thought of or experienced came from something other than us? How can we have an original thought, genuinely? I think this concept has been talked about before, because it's like, how can you genuinely have an original thought? Because everything that you've ever thought of, saw, came from something else. Came from another experience or a thought. You can argue, it's like, well, you have your unique perspective. And yes, that is true. But even from the words that I say, even from this right here, I didn't make this camera. I don't even know how this camera works, or any of the lights, or even my phone, or the words on it, or, it's like I didn't create any of that. But I guess you could also argue, it's like it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to create it in order to use it and become original with it. It's a long discussion and dialogue that you can have or debate in terms of originality, but in terms of actually understanding it from an original standpoint, it can also go right to your straight thoughts. I'm not sitting there meticulously picking out my thought patterns. Even now, I'll just say to you like this, even now, I believe there's an argument to say that I'm not even fully in control of what I'm saying right now. Because when I'm thinking about it in terms of ideas are coming into my head and they're coming out of my mouth. I'm not being like, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and now I'm going to say. It's happening at the same moment. So it's basically like what's happening right now is what I'm saying and what you're hearing. We're both experiencing it at the same time. Does that make sense? But I'm just hearing it and experiencing it first. I always thought about this when I was writing. It's like I'm just the first person to read it. It's not like coming specifically from me. Like when I write words it's not me. I'm not like, this is blah, blah. It's like, no, it's coming from out there, and I'm grabbing it and filtering it through me, and then it's coming out. Same thing with me saying these words. There's nothing special about what I'm saying. It's just like I'm a channel, or I'm hearing these words. I'm not like thinking I'm hearing things, but it's like something is coming to me. I'm thinking it, saying it at the same time, and you're listening. Or not, who knows if I even upload this. But does that make sense? I don't even know why I started that tangent. Who or what has influenced my definition? Everything. Is that an adequate answer? Probably not. But how do other people's expectations influence what I believe will make me happy. I'll say this. I don't really care for other people's expectations. I'll say it like this. I don't. It's not that I don't care, because I always say that if you say you don't care, you definitely do. Because if you genuinely don't care, then you wouldn't say anything about it. And be like, well, how can you prove that? And be like, okay, well, think about an individual in the jungle right now. I don't know his name. It's just in there. He's just doing whatever his thing. Are you worried about him? No. Why not? I don't know. Oh, yeah, so you don't care. You're not thinking about him. You never even thought about him. We don't even know what we're talking about right now. You never thought of an individual alone in the jungle, lost and scared right now. There could be, who knows? But you don't know that. I don't know that. You'd be like, well, why do you care? I'm not saying you need to care. I'm just saying that's the definition of not caring. It's not saying anything, not even thinking about it. So if you say that you don't care about something, you definitely do, at least a little bit. So it's not that I don't care about other people's expectations. It's that I understand that whatever they say about anything that I say or think or do, whatever, it is from their perspective. So if even this entire conversation or anything that I'm saying right now, an individual could be listening to it meticulously, writing down notes and everything, and they still could miss the entire concept of what I'm saying because I might not be able to communicate well enough for them to understand what I'm saying. And here's another thing. I don't want you to see life through my eyes or through my words. I want you to be able to see life through your own life, through your own eyes and through your own perspective. So it's the same thing that I would take from expectations upon another person towards me. It's like you can think however you want. It's your perspective. One thing that I use to describe this is whenever I'm supervising anybody, it's always like I understand that I can walk into a room and for you as a worker, and let's just say you're a worker and I'm your boss, I can walk into a room and for 99% of the day, you could have been the best employee ever. But that 1% where I'm there, you could have done the worst thing in the world. And then I walk out of the room and that's all that I see of you. And immediately I can be like, that person is the worst in the world. Some people are right here and be like, that happens to me every day. And it's 100% true. I'm not saying that you're the worst person in the world, or the worst employee, but as a supervisor walking into a specific room, how could you specifically know if they weren't doing the best thing in the 2 minutes earlier or 10 seconds earlier than you walked in the room? So I can't know that even from just seeing what's right in front of me. So in terms of me saying and judging that employee, it's not about being right or not, but it's about like, that's why I see clarity, because that could be untrue, that I could look at them and be like, you did nothing today. And it's like, you don't understand what I did because you weren't there the whole time. And be like, okay, I understand I wasn't there the whole time, but when I was, it looked pretty bad. Like, okay, but you weren't there. Like, okay, I'll be there again tomorrow. And if you're doing bad, then you're bad. But if you could be doing good. But here's the thing. Here's another thing with it is like, I can go and see, and you can think that you're doing good, but I can look at it and be like, you're actually doing great. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're doing better than I've ever seen anybody do before. And they could be like, really? I thought this is like standard. I thought I was just doing my job. It's like, you're doing way more than you ever thought that you could be doing. I don't know if that makes sense. But that's in terms of expectations. I have a lot to say about that. Am I allowing outside influence to distort my happiness scale, especially by pulling me into what if fantasies instead of what is clarity? Yes, 100%. But I don't try to, because I'll say it to you like this, with happiness, I allow happiness to come in and out of my life. I don't allow it to absorb my mentality or perspective during the day to fully engulf me. I'm going to say that in less words than what I just tried to say. It is, now, outside influences can come in, like as simple as I can walk, and this has happened to me before, is that I'm going for a walk. It's just in the moment, like, okay, I'm going for a walk. need to clear my head or I want to think about something. And I'll be going for a walk and then it starts to rain. And I didn't look at the weather app, and it's not reliable at times anyway. But I can be going outside and be like, it's raining. Of course it's raining now. It's like, chill out. It's fine. It's not a big deal. You got nowhere to be. It's raining. But not even just that. There's other aspects of like this video. It could be like, this video could change my entire life. Or it could do absolutely nothing. But it's like, well, why with the what if fantasies that even though that they could be completely true, why are you trying to live in that realm? Just do what you're doing in the moment right now with the hope of something great could happen. But don't try and live in that what if fantasy, because you're not in that fantasy. You're in reality, which is right here. And the reality is there's nothing happening here. You know what I mean? So, of course, it's only natural to get into those what if fantasies because I think there's a confusion of hope and happiness where the the potential for more happiness is like a drug that people confuse with hopefulness. Does that make sense? It's like you can hope for something but not attach or not embody so much happiness within it. And what I mean by that is you go outside, everybody has expectations. I'm not saying avoid them. I'm just saying be more aware of them. So you go outside and be like when I'm going on my walks, it's an unspoken rule or that I have in my head that I'm not going to get rained on. And then when I start feeling pitter patters on my back, then I'm like, no way. And it's like, you didn't think that was possible. It's like you're so stuck in your life, which is fine because you can think about it like this. Me going on my walk or hike within that moment is me staying in the what is scale. So you can tiptoe or peer into the what if scale, being like, well, what if it rains? Like, okay, we'll bring an umbrella or just prepare that it's going to rain. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's good to live in the what is scale, but also acknowledge the what if scale for hopefulness or preparedness. The difference between the what if scale is do not embody that as an expectation on your current situation. So for the example of walking outside, living in the moment of just going out there and not worrying about what's happening, but you can also live in there, but prepare for, well, if it rains, let me bring an umbrella. Or at least just look at the weather app and be like, okay, well, it might rain. Okay, action. My goodness, we have 18%. Actions. What actions in my life have consistently led to real happiness? Not imagined, but remembered. So 100% it's traveling. I love going on road trips. I love seeing different parts of the world. I love seeing national parks. I'm pretty sure I've seen more than 20. And in a couple of weeks, oh my goodness, I think it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm going on another cross-country road trip, and I'm super psyched about it. I'm going to video the whole thing. I can't wait. And I'm going to go to see more national parks. And can you see the smile on my face, how genuinely happy I am for that? Because I've experienced it so many different times. And continually doing that, that's what makes me happy, is going on trips, going to seeing, and just being outside. You know, I just really feel connected to nature and the world when I'm outside, living there. You know, being these four walls, it's nice and all, but I want to see land. I want to experience outside and what real life is like. Do my current actions reflect what I know creates happiness for me? Or am I acting against that clarity? Do my current actions reflect what I know creates happiness for me? Or am I acting against that clarity? No, my current actions, creating all this, it definitely reflect what creates happiness for me. Because doing what I want to get my word out. I want to get the philosophy out to help other people. So 100% I would say that my actions currently reflect what makes me happy. I definitely believe that because I think the only thing that is struggling with that is that I would prioritize happiness over my mission. That would be the only times that I've ever been misaligned, I would say. But currently, right now, everything that I'm doing is leading me towards the mission of achieving an opportunity for people to be able to genuinely look upon their life with a new perspective. Does that make sense? How can I take small conscious actions to create new what is moments of happiness that I'll carry forward? The easiest actions is look at what you value. You can look at your happiness scale. That's probably the easier one. Is look at the happiness scale, the what is scale. What is the happiest moment of your life? What is the top? It could be the bottom three, and do those. Do you know what I mean? Like one of the least. It was still one of the most happiest moments of my life. Is walking through Central Park. Walking through Central Park or going to the American Museum of Natural History. One of the most happiest moments of my life is just walking through there. For no purpose. I don't remember anything that was in there consciously. I mean, I remember going there and being like, this is awesome. Or walking in the redwoods and seeing the beautiful trees. Just amazing. I remember those as my a lot of the national parks are my happiest moments. Yosemite, amazing. Zion, incredible. I'm going to all those again. So it's like, and I'm going there with family. So it's like, it's creating more of those what is moments based off of your happiness scale. The what is scale. What have you done in the past? Well, I've done all these by myself. Let me try doing it with other people. Sorry, I was just thinking that what if they they turn into sad moments? But it's I would always say it's the opportunity. It's the hopefulness to create new memories with family and other people. That's so funny to think. It's the hope, it's the hope. Because you never know. But that's the thing. It's not the what if. If I live in the what if scale of being like, if this goes great on my family road trip, then my happiness would be even more. It's like, I don't know that for a fact at all. I just know I had a great moment or series of moments by myself. Maybe I can be hopeful to have more moments that are great with family. And if they're not, then maybe I should just stick to doing it myself. It's like you try, you never know. And you can see, it's like, because look at it like this. I have a brilliant moment by myself in national parks. Amazing moments that are on my what is scale. And then I have other moments that are beautiful with my family. So it's like, what if I put the two together and let's see how it is? I'll say this, I've done it before and it's been successful, so why not do it again? Now we're going to be tying it up because the whole point of this is mapping SOR. So when I map my SOR, am I grounding it in what is memories or what if fantasies? So I think I explained this scenario or this situation in the what is where you live, or where it's better to live in the what is scale than the what if fantasies, but use the what if fantasies as a preparation or hope to move in a specific direction, and not live and attach it with happiness or embody with specific emotions. So when I map my SOR, am I grounding it in what is memories or what if fantasies? I would say when I map my SOR, I'm grounding it in what is memories and prepping for what if fantasies, or the hope that I can expand. You gotta grow. That's a way to grow. You can't grow within where you have been. You can get better at what you've been doing, but in order to genuinely grow as an individual, you have to expand. So you have to look at those what if fantasies, but just do not embody those specific fantasies and attribute that to an expansion of happiness. Does that make sense? It's like what I was saying before, I can hope that bringing my family to Yosemite, which is one of my favorite places in the world, that I could have another what is moment. But I can also acknowledge that it might not be the best thing in the world. And that would be a separate thing. It's not going to bring a what is moment down. It might just not become a what is moment. I could reflect upon it and be like, okay, well, I tried. I was hopeful. And it doesn't need to be, I'll say it's like this. It can become a what is moment in the happiness scale. It doesn't need to become a what is moment on the sadness scale. Does that make sense? Do I even need to think about happiness in this structured way? Or does mapping it out simply give me clarity I can't reach otherwise? I don't think you need to think about happiness in this structured way. I would always say it always goes back to what you want. Do you want to be a more conscious individual? Do you want to be somebody who becomes more aware of their surroundings or how happiness affects your daily decisions? If you do want to, then you don't need to adopt this specific what is, what if. It's just a new way to measure happiness. If you don't want that, then you don't need it. Come up with your own, or don't. Live your own life. You don't need to follow genuine philosophy by any means. You really genuinely don't. But the thing is, if you want to, or you want to see a new area, then here's a way to do it. Right? If SOR is the story I tell about my life, how does measuring happiness through the 4 pillars help me write that story more clearly? Now, I think with belief, value, influence, and action, I think that right there is even just answering it surface level. What do you believe about happiness? I believe happiness is doing what I want. Okay, what do you value? I value going on hikes. Great. What influenced you in that? Past experiences. Perfect. Now, do you actually do that? Yeah, I do. Perfect. So you should be happy. Okay, great. But I'm still not. Imagine, I am happy, but just imagine if that's what you're thinking of. Okay, well, what about your sadness scale? What are you talking about? Have you been doing the same thing? Yeah, this, and this. You can do the same thing. Happy or sadness is next week, so we'll have another video on it. But it's just a way to really be able to look at, and I'll say this: it's better to tick off boxes, off clarity and certain perspectives, than to not. I'll say to you like this: if this isn't helpful in any way, then you don't need to look at the 4 pillars of consciousness. You can go to you could pick up books, you can read in certain areas, you can think about life in any way that you want, but if this doesn't help, it might be that you're missing certain parts of your life. And what I mean by that is that you might need to look into more areas of your life. So this is happiness. What about sadness? What about fear? What about family, pain, love, success, career, even wants? There's so many different things. And I'll say it's just about clarity. It's about learning more about your life. And you could probably sit there and be like, well, I know about my life. And be like, okay, great. If you say that, I'm going to tell you, you definitely don't. Because if you believe that you know about your life, then you believe that you know everything about your life, which you just can't. I don't. Nobody does. You haven't been in every aspect of your life. You only know what you remember about your life, and that can also be you can also be mistaken by that. Now, I will say, how does the 4 pillars help you write that story more clearly? I think it's just giving you more information. You don't even need to consciously have a breakthrough with the 4 pillars of consciousness, but you can have an idea to ask better questions. It's like for me, I said, I believe I don't deserve happiness. If I believe that genuinely, I don't know how my life would have, like if I never said that out loud, how would my life have turned out? I don't know. But anyway, it's been an hour. This has been amazing. I love this first talk. I'm going to put this up. And if you want to check out more, I'll have my books in the description. You can also check me out on Instagram at an ADHD philosopher, or check me out on TikTok as well. But thank you. Thanks for being here. Anybody who actually watched. You know what's funny too? Oh, this will be the last thing I say. Is I'm going to post this, and it probably won't get a lot of views, but it might get a lot of views a couple months, even years down the line, or never. Who knows? I might just look at this and be like, remember when I did that? What is today? September 6th at midnight. Thank you so much.